Hello, welcome to summer. Almost. So the reason why I'm sharing these recipes with you today is because it's finally warmed up in the UK, and as soon as it does that, we have to celebrate. If any of you guys have been to the UK, you will know why. So the first sign of warm weather, and like, guys get their shorts on, get their flip-flops on, and you know, we want to head outside. But one of the problems with summer is that quite often we get dehydrated, we get thirsty, and then we want to reach for a sugary drink that isn't very healthy for us, or an ice lolly that isn't very healthy for us, or a cocktail that isn't very healthy for us. But we have a really great substitute for that. So, as ever, I'm going to make sure that I've got your comments coming up here on my computer so that I can see all of the lovely things that you guys are saying, all of the questions that you have. Please do let me know if you want to know any substitutions, if there's anything you can have, you can't have. I'm the right way round, which is really great to start today, and our sound is off. So, oh, Colleen, you beat everyone else to it. Good morning. So today there is a rainbow somewhere in the house. I have actually remembered to put it up today. The other day I was a little bit tired, a little bit sleepy, and I completely forgot. But today it is up. So where is it? I think today's probably quite an easy one. So we'll make it a bit harder by asking you what is at the end of our rainbow. Okay, so as I was saying, we are making kombucha today, we are making kefir, but not just making them, seeing what else we can do with them. Ben, thank you for joining me. So this is a really great place to start with ferments. The other day I took you through how to make sauerkraut, which is also a really great start of a fermenting journey, because these are the easier things to do to get started on. And so you can start with these, and then you can work your way up to things like, hello Ben, you can work your way up to things like tempeh, and kimchi and sourdough. So I think, Ben, I may have seen you commenting on Lou's post the other day about her sourdough starter and how that's growing, and I think that you've done that before, so it'd be great for you to say if that is you, if I completely mistook one Ben for another, which I may do, sorry if that is the case, and also my memory's shocking, so yes, we're going to be talking about these lovely things here. They can seem a little bit weird, because once you get into this idea of cultures, hello Johnny, thank you for joining me. We're not making anything with chocolate today, you will be pleased to hear. Inna, good afternoon, thank you for joining me. Yes, so with our ferments that we have here today, and cultures in general, they can seem a little bit weird. And I think just because they're a bit different, they seem a bit outside of our comfort zone. But once you get used to them, you know, they are actually really simple recipes. Really simple recipes. It's just that it is a very different thing to what we're used to creating in a kitchen. So I always say that baking isn't really a science when you compare it to fermenting. Fermenting is the true science when it comes to cooking. Ben said yes, that he has done his own sourdough starter. I'm doing kombucha at the moment too. Okay, I'm really glad that it was you and I got that right. Johnny, sorry, I just missed your comment. Let me go back up. Johnny said, morning, yay for chocolate-free recipes. This one's for you then. Colleen said 3 wise men. Yes, but actually there's 4. There's 4 today. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll take you through these in a moment. Claire said thanks for sharing stuff. Always happy to share stuff, particularly vegan food stuff. Definitely. So I do have my drink already on the go here. Not an alcoholic cocktail. Don't worry, it's not that time of day yet. Give me an hour or two. Anne said, hi chef, I love making kombucha, lemon and ginger. That's a really good combination. Justine, thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's talk you through what kombucha and kefir actually is. So one of the reasons why I think that people are a bit hesitant to get involved in it is because they can seem a bit freaky, to put it bluntly. They are quite strange creatures. Mary, hi from Philadelphia, hello. And Antonio, hello. And Hope, thank you for coming back, Hope. Okay, so they can seem a little bit weird because we have these cultures inside. And it is kind of like a living thing, you know, it's a living culture. And so it needs to have things to eat and it grows. Again, kind of sounds like something from an alien movie, and I think like there is going to be in the future there is going to be a feature film which is you know, like Aliens, what is it, Aliens versus Alien versus Predator, that was it, Alien versus Predator, but our version is going to be Kefir versus Kombucha. I see, I'm making myself laugh too much that I can't actually get my words out. How ridiculous is that? But that is where my weird mind goes to. We are going to see kombucha and kefir grains taking over the world. Mary says yes, it's bacteria. Justine says that she's signed onto our cooking courses now. That's great, that's really, really wonderful. I'm sure you will absolutely love them. Hope says that she is so excited to learn about these. Okay, right, so let's get these up to the camera and you can see why I think that they might be able to take over the world, because they do look like these really weird gelatinous things. We've got some in here as well. This is kombucha, SCOBY. These are all kombuchas so far. And the thing is that these guys, they just keep on growing. So that's why I have so many now, because they've just kept on growing, so I've had to put them in different jars. This one here is my SCOBY hotel. So because I had so many, I've had to put them into a jar. Oh, hello, Pascal. Oh, don't worry about being late. Don't worry, we've only just got started. Is the rainbow coming off the R on the kefir? Yes, it is. It is. Can you see what it's got at the end of it as well? It's got something very special at the end of it, and it isn't hummus this time. Okay, so this is my SCOBY hotel. And the reason why they're all in here is that I want to slow down the fermenting process because I had too many SCOBYs. So I've put them into here, given them a little bit of food, and then I'll put them in the fridge. So that's my SCOBY hotel. These are the kombuchas that I actually have out on the side. And then this is my kefir. Okay, so you can see this one's quite a different colour. It's quite light. And these are the kefir grains that you can just about see on the bottom there. Okay, so why are these drinks so good and why are they so kind of fashionable and in health food shops at the moment? Well, the reason why is because they're fermented drinks, and fermentation is really, really great for your gut, really, really great for helping you build good and friendly bacteria. So all of you would have heard about good bacteria. You know, it's been in the press for about the last, 15 years with those little Yakult drinks. And a lot of those little kind of, good bacteria things have actually been tested and they don't have a huge amount of good bacteria in them left. You know, those like yogurts that have apparently good bacteria in them, but then they have a load of fruit and sugar added to them, which will kill the bacteria in there anyway. So having good bacteria in this way is much, much better, and you are more likely to get the benefits out of them. Colleen said 3 little hearts at the end of the rainbow. Boom. Thank you, Colleen. You are top rainbow spotter. Yes, so of course one of the benefits is those health benefits, but of course the other thing that I mentioned earlier is that when it is hot outside, we want to have a sweet, cold drink. So these are great at doing that. We also want to have something like an ice lolly, so I'll show you how to make them later. Really, really, really easy. We also might want to have a cocktail. You can have it virgin, you can have it not virgin if you want to. And you know, you're getting that good bacteria in your body. You're getting all of those like nutritional benefits from the kombucha and the kefir. If you're putting in alcohol in it, if that's your thing, then that's absolutely fine. But at least like you're getting some of like the health benefits along with it. You know, and I think like some alcohol isn't great for your tummy anyway. So in a way, you're kind of like balancing that out. And there are some really, really good flavours that you can get from these guys. And I didn't do so well with kefir. What happened? What happened? Let me know. Let me know. Was it just that the water didn't just kept tasting sugary? That's usually the problem. Okay, so let's start with our kombucha. So we'll put the kefir to one side. And so, as I said, this is my SCOBY hotel. This is the SCOBYs inside them, and your SCOBY will grow to whatever the size or shape of your jar is. So this one, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, they feel weird. They do, they just feel weird. So this one grew to the shape of our jar there. So you can put it in whatever size jar you want. You know, obviously like a wider mouthed one like this is really, really good. Some people are quite tempted to use the really big glass jars that have the little spout on the bottom of it, but it's not advisable to use those. And the reason why is because when we're actually changing over the kombucha, we don't want to just pull from the bottom. So when we're actually like taking a drink from the kombucha, we don't just want to pull from the bottom here. We wanted to kind of like mix all this up because there may be differences in the bacteria that's in here or the bacteria that's in the bottom. So we don't want to use one of those things that has the pory spout at the bottom, although it looks really nice. It does look really nice, but save it for flavoured water. Johnny said, I thought there were 3 little SCOBYs at the end of the rainbow. Well, I'm really not sure how to draw a SCOBY. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Okay, so let me just taste our kombucha and we will see how we are doing it, and then that will determine for me which one I'm going to change over today. I don't think it'll be this. Yeah, so it's going to be this one. This one that we have here. So let's just pop these to one side. We don't want to have any accidents, no spilled kombucha, otherwise I will be crying over it. Okay, so the recipe for this is really, 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 really simple. So you need about, so it's all about kind of like ratio. So we've got 1 litre of water, and I have my water over here. There we go. We've got 1 litre of water here. Let me just see. So I heated this in a pan. You can do it just in a kettle, that's absolutely fine. Oh, there we go, exactly 1 litre, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I heated that in a pan on the hob. You can use bottled spring water if you want to, but of course that ends up being really, really expensive. So you can use tap water, but you need to boil it and then you need to cool it. So I just boil it in just a regular pan, but then after I've done that, I put it into a bowl like this. And the reason why is because it's just going to cool down quicker. I'm always in a rush, always, always, always. So I don't want to leave it just in the pan to cool down. I want to pop it into here and get the whole process kind of like done a lot quicker. Okay, so we need to mix our 1 litre of water. So we'll just pop it into here with our sugar. So with kombucha, the sugar that it needs is cane sugar. It can't have any other sugar, unfortunately. So things like coconut sugar or molasses or rapadura, which are the ones that I would prefer to use in something like baking, I can't use it with the kombucha because the SCOBY doesn't like it. So the culture that's living inside it is called a SCOBY. So that is that means sorry, I'm already tripping over my words today. Let me have a drink. I'll be back with you in a second. Oh yeah, I said, oh, there you are. Yes, here we are. Thank you for joining us. Tim said, this is all a bit Stranger Things. Can you explain what it is? Yes. Right. Deep breath. SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. There you go. So it's a symbiotic culture, which means, you know, it's more than one culture, and in this case it's two cultures together of bacteria and yeast. So with the bacteria, that needs one thing to eat, and with the yeast, that needs another thing to eat. So the bacteria will need the tea to eat, and the yeast will need the sugar to eat. So we're going to give it both of those in this recipe that we're making to feed it. And yes, it is a bit weird. This is one of those things I always say that to other vegans. If non-vegans ask you what you eat, don't start talking about scobies. Don't. In fact, just leave the whole fermenting thing. Break them in gently. Just talk about hummus or baked beans or something like that. Don't talk about scobies, because yes, they are weird. Yes, they are weird. Okay, so into our water, we'll put 60 grams of sugar, which is around, thank you, which is around 4 tablespoons. There we go. And you can put that water in after it's just boiled, and then it will dissolve really, really quickly, really, really nicely. But you don't really have to. I mean, I have become quite bold with my kombucha making. Sometimes, like if I just want to kind of like keep it on going, I just want to give it a bit of food to make sure that the SCOBY doesn't starve, you know, then I want to be adding some sugar and tea to it. And sometimes I'll just put the sugar straight in there, and I'll just pop a tea bag in there overnight as well. That's how kind of like bold I've become with it. I'm always like trying to work out ways of doing things quicker and simpler and easier, and there are just sometimes where I have no time, absolutely no time, but I just want to make sure that my SCOBY doesn't die, and so I just know that I need to give it a bit of food. So I'll just whack a bit of sugar in there and, you know, pop a tea bag in overnight. Okay, so let's get our tea bags. So you can use any type of caffeinated tea. I've just got regular bog standard tea here. You can use green tea as well, or oolong or pu'er. Really, really, really nice teas to use. And so we can just pop those into there. If this is hot, then you can just leave it stewing, brewing for an hour. Those tea bags in there, and then you can take them out. Because obviously, you know, if the water is hot, then that tea is going to go into the water a lot quicker. But our water is quite cool now. So, Louisa, thank you for joining me. Louisa is actually our admin today, so a big round of applause for Louisa. Thank you for helping us out. Okay, so now we've got our mixture, and this is what we're going to put into there to feed our SCOBY and to make kombucha. So once we do add it into there, that culture, our SCOBY, is going to start eating the sugar, is going to start eating the tea, the water, the tea water that's come from the tea bags, and it's going to grow. So this SCOBY will actually multiply. It will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is why, you know, I've had to take loads of them off and put them into here, and I ended up making another one pretty quickly. And now with the school, what I do is I do try to grow our own SCOBYs, so that when we get to that part in the course, I can actually give my students my own SCOBYs, which is really, really nice. And so when you do it at home, you will find that eventually your SCOBYs will get so big, and they'll grow thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker, and then you want to remove them, so you can actually just peel them back. You can even cut them. And just like the alien that it is, it will just regrow. It will regrow, so don't worry about that. Is fermenting a way of producing pre-digested food? Does it not cause digestive problems? So these are meant to actually help with your digestion, Gloria. And so, you know, they've got like really good healthy bacteria in them. Really, really great for your gut. I've got a really weak digestive system, so I love having things like this, and I find that my body really, really wants it. My body really goes for all of those things that are in my kitchen and on my plate that are fermented. So anything like yogurt, I absolutely love yogurt, and all like the pickles and things like the sauerkraut. And I actually, what I found is, so say for example, when I've had a bibimbap, last time we were in Brighton, it was all those pickled bits that the fermented bits that I wanted to eat first. And I do believe that is because I have weak digestion, and it is somehow my body telling me that this is what I should be going for. Clever stuff, huh, of our body. Okay, so we've got our sugar water in here, but there's actually too much kombucha in there. So let's just get this guy out. There we go. And it will just splash about all over the place, but this is a really good time for you guys to see these a bit more. If you get any of the kombucha or kefir water over the side, make sure that you wipe it up and clean it really, really well, because fruit flies are really, really attracted to it. And that is also why we cover the tops with a loose weave cloth as well, because flies will come into it and they will just they'll die in it, and you really don't want to find that in your kombucha or your kefir. Okay, so I have just taken all of this out. As I said, I don't want to just get like the top bit off, don't want to just get the bottom bit off. I want to mix it all in. And then we will be adding some of this as our starter. So for those of you guys who have worked with ferments before, you will be very familiar with the term starter. So this is some of the previous liquid that we will use to encourage the bacteria to grow in our new lot of kombucha. Okay, so we can just pop these into here. Let's put one of these scobies in now. And it only really needs that. It only really needs that. And that's like a pretty good big SCOBY, actually. And we'll pop in some of this. Let me just give this a good mix. There we go. So now we have more SCOBYs than I know what to do with. I've got a veritable SCOBY farm on the go at the moment. And then we can just pop this in here. And as you guys have seen, I absolutely love these bowls, and this is another reason why I love these bowls, because they just very, very easily, everything's like very pourable because it's got this lovely spout. This tea I'm going to pop in the top there, and I will remember to take it out this time because sometimes I don't. Okay, so in here what we have is we have the 1 litre of water, we have 4 tablespoons of sugar, we have our 2 tea bags, and we have some of the starter, and that is it. So I will let this do its thing for maybe about 5 days at the moment because it's quite warm. So the warmer it is, the quicker it will ferment. If you want to really speed it up, then you can invest in a fermenting chamber, which is basically my polystyrene box with a reptile heat pad in it, and that will speed it up. I have used that fermenting chamber when it's really, really cold in this country, because in the winter it does get really, really cold, and then the fermenting can just slow down, like really, really, really slow down. If you've got a really cold kitchen, which some of you may have, if it's an extension or something like that, then it can be quite cold. So, and it needs somewhere a little bit warm to do its fermenting. So I put a loose weave cloth on there. This is actually a napkin, so I wouldn't use anything like this. This is too tight weave. It needs to be loose weave because we don't want to restrict the airflow. In this one I've even used a J cloth and an elastic band, and that is it. So that is our kombucha. As time goes on, as the SCOBY eats the sugar and it eats the tea, then it will get sourer and sourer. That's hard to say. What kind of starter is the best and where to get it from? Okay, so there's lots of different places where you can get a good starter. Just be aware that some of them can be, you might need to rehydrate some of them. I prefer not to get those because you have to wait for many days in order to really use it. So I have bought a lot of starters from eBay before, really great place to get them from. There's also a fermenting website that I've just recently started to use. I cannot remember the name of it. I've just seen that Ingrid's on. I don't know if Ingrid, can you remember what that name of the fermenting website I mentioned the other day? I think it was to you I mentioned it. If you can pop that into the comments, that would be great. If not, I'll pop it into the comments in the community hub later on today because they have some great scobies as well. Okay, so as I was saying, the longer this ferments, the more sour it will get. The more sour, yeah, exactly. I'll say it that way around. The more sour it will get. I really like it to be as sour as possible, because if we stop it when it isn't completely sour, then it will still have sugar present in it. And where is our sugar? This is our sugar. This is sugar that I don't particularly like to eat. I prefer to go for the healthier sugars. Basically, it's just because I'm a complete sugar addict if I have stuff like this. So what I decide to do instead is I make this as sour as possible until it's like vinegar, which means actually it's really good to cook with, really good for dressings as well. And I love braising leeks with kombucha. It tastes absolutely beautiful, really easy as well. But if I want it to be sweet, then I can add healthy sweetness. So this beautiful thing, look at that colour. This is kombucha that had raspberries soaked in it, just for maybe a couple of hours last night. That is it. Really beautiful. Look at that colour. You know, usually when we see that colour with a drink, it is because it has loads of E numbers in it. Maybe even something that isn't vegan, you know, because that's like the red food colouring that used to be made from beetles. You know, it's that bright. But, you know, that's all natural, all completely natural. I used organic raspberries and just put them in there. Tim said, can you use coconut sugar? No, you can't. Which is, you know, why I keep it going because I like to consume coconut sugar. I'm comfortable with having that type of sugar in my diet, but not this type of sugar. So there is that combination, works really well. And let's go on to kefir. Sorry, I'm talking too much. I could talk about ferments until the cows come home. Okay, so this guy I'm going to deal with in a bit. We'll have even more kombucha in the house. Okay, let me just get this switched around in case we need it. Okay, and onto our kefir, and then we'll talk about different flavour combinations as well. Okay, so there we go. Right, okay, here is our kefir. Okay, so it's very similar to kombucha. The process is the same. You know, it is a culture. Gloria says that she loves the yellow roses. Well, it's funny you should say that because that was an anniversary present from your son. So I'm really glad that you like them. Yeah, so kefir is very similar to kombucha in the fact that it's a culture, but this isn't a dual culture, this is a single culture. So we've got our kefir grains around the bottom here. Let's just give these a rinse. And then we'll see if we can pull some out and show them to you. Because, you know, as I said, I think the only thing that puts people off doing this, where are you? There you are. The only thing that puts people off at doing ferment is how unfamiliar it is. So the more familiar that you get with it, the more comfortable you will be to do it. So there are grains, and when you first buy them, you might only get like a packet of, say, 2 or 3 tablespoons. And when you first start off, you might need to let go of this liquid and just wash it away because it hasn't really fermented. So it might need like a few goes before it actually starts doing its fermenting thing. So the mix that you want to put in here is literally just sugar and water. So it's 1 litre of sugar, 60 grams of, sorry, 1 litre of sugar? 1 litre of water, 60 grams of sugar, around 4 tablespoons of sugar again, to about 4 tablespoons of Kefir Grains. So that's the ratio. And if you have some starter, then you want to use some starter. But of course, when you're buying it off the internet, you may not have any Kefir starter, which is absolutely fine. So when you start off, you want to do that mix, you know, and if you've got less Kefir Grains, then obviously reduce that recipe. Mix the sugar in with the water, put it into a jar with the Kefir Grains, and just let it do its thing for a couple of days. Again, put a loose weave cloth over it. Flies do love absolutely going into it. We don't want any of them dying in there. Angel said, is the website freshly fermented? Yes! Yes, yes, yes. Of course, it's the one that I recommended to you as well, Angel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Gloria says that she's biased, but he is wonderful. He is wonderful. I'm going to blush. I'm going to blush on camera. Joe, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Yes, so when you first get it, you probably want to just mix the Kefir Grains with the sugar water, let it do its thing for a couple of days, and then taste it. So what should it taste like? Well, it shouldn't just taste of sugar water. So we all kind of know what sugar water will probably taste of, like it's just one flavour in it, one taste, that's it, one level. But once this is fermented, then you can taste much more in there. So there's kind of like a funkiness that happens in there. That sounds great. The flavour becomes a lot more developed. There's a sourness that adds to the sweetness. So after a couple of days, it will become sour and sour. If that doesn't happen at the beginning, when you have your Kefir Grains, that is okay. That's absolutely okay. It's just that the Kefir Grains are kind of like, you know, they haven't had any food for a while, so they're kind of like a bit slow to start with. So you'll just need to get rid of that Kefir water. Just throw it away. Leave a little bit as a starter in the jar, and then add your sugar water. Okay, so let's do this change as well. Right, okay. So with this one, just checking the water isn't too hot. Again, this is water that I have put on the, I boiled in a pan and then let it cool. So we have our sieve here, and you always need to make sure that you're using a plastic sieve. And we'll just pour this out here. So we've got loads of grains here, and again, just like with the kombucha, these will keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying, and then you'll end up with so many that you want to give them away. And that is why so many people are able to sell them quite cheaply on eBay, is because this is something that will just multiply and multiply and multiply. So you will find yourself like just trying to like pass them off to your friends. Like anybody who even remotely mentions anything about fermenting, you'll be like, do you want a SCOBY? Do you want some Kefir Grains? Please, 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 have some. Because one day they will take over the planet. Okay, so we need to have our sugar, and as I said, like, you can use other sugars. I keep this fermenting for a long time. I've only got about 500 ml of water in here, so I'm only going to pop in 2 tablespoons of sugar into here. You can let it dilute if you want to. As you know, I am too impatient, and said, I think that's what I did wrong. I thought it wasn't doing anything, so gave up after a few goes with it. Probably didn't give myself enough time making more than a few batches. Well, I must say as well, it can depend on the time of year that you're doing it. If your kitchen isn't that warm, then it can really, really slow things down. So, you know, you may have like changed it a few times and been like, okay, well, this thing like still isn't happening, and it may just be because it wasn't warm enough as well. So the summertime is a great time to do ferments. So we'll just pop our Kefir Grains back into here. There we go. We're getting quite a lot on the go. Now, a little bit of the starter. There we go. And sugar water. And then we can just pop the lid back on. There we go. So it's all fairly straightforward and easy. So let's just pop this one to the side. So this is only going to need to be to ferment for about a couple of days at the moment. After a couple of days, it tastes nice and sour, and it's exactly how I want it. But as I said, that might change depending on the temperature of your kitchen. So now we've got this lovely kefir here that we can do something with, and then we have our kombucha here as well with the SCOBY in, which we're not going to eat. Don't worry about that. So let's start talking about what you can do with this. So with the kombucha, the way that I make it, I keep it fermenting and it does become very, very sour, which I really like. Big fan of vinegar. So I like that sour flavour. I find that not enough food in this country is sour, so I really, really seek it out. So one really, really great combination just to bring it back into balance is mixing kombucha with pineapple juice. I find pineapple juice far too sweet, but with the kombucha it really, really balances out. So, just to say actually to you guys, these are some great bottles that I got off the internet, which I can share a link to that later if you want me to. I think I got maybe 6 or 8 of them, and really, really reasonably priced as well. So they're great for just like bottling up your kombucha, and then you can just pop it all in the fridge and then it's cold, because it does actually taste a lot nicer when it's cold. Sarah, thank you for joining us again. Hi, which sugar are you using? Is it white or brown sugar? So this sugar I am using is Billington's. Billington's, I really, really like what they do. And it's golden granulated sugar, so it's unrefined cane sugar. So that's what I've been using for both. With the kombucha, it does need cane sugar. With the kefir, it can have other sugars. It can eat things like coconut sugar or rapadura or molasses. So that's another thing that, you know, I want to start experimenting with, because I love molasses. Really, really love molasses. So with our kombucha here, it goes really, really well with something like pineapple or orange juice as well. And as I said, if you keep it going and keep it going and keep it going until it gets very sour, just know that you can put it with healthy ingredients like fresh juices to bring it back. Yeah, so you're going to be reintroducing that sugariness, that sweetness, but it's going to be from a really, really, really good source. So the same with our raspberries here, because this is literally just like, you know, fresh raspberries, frozen raspberries that I popped in here and just let it rest, and then you get this really, really beautiful colour as well. And at Christmas time, I made, Paul said sometimes it's a good time to do fermenting and to wear sunglasses. Yes, preferably both at the same time. Yes, at Christmas time I made mulled kombucha, which was absolutely divine. So all of the spices that you would use for mulled wine, and then I mixed those spices in a pan with some water. So not with the kombucha, because I didn't want to boil the kombucha and get rid of any of the good bacteria in there. I wanted to get all of those flavours out of the spices. So I let that bubble away. And then I let it cool down slightly, and then I mixed it with the kombucha, and it was absolutely divine. If you keep your kombucha going until it is quite sour, you can actually use it as a substitute for alcohol, because, you know, we are used to those like very, very strong flavours coming through when we have like a cocktail or something like that, and that's why we sip it kind of slower as well. You know, when you've got that slight bitterness to that slight tartness, it makes us slow down. You know, if you have a drink that is really quite sweet, you can just guzzle it down, you know, and I don't really like to do that. I like to savour it. So let's make a quick cocktail here. We have one of our lovely glasses. And so this is a pineapple mix. I put some star anise in here, which is a really, really good... Really, really, really lovely combination. And in here, I actually made a Earl Grey syrup. So to make this, you literally just have to steep some Earl Grey in some water, and then use that water to make a syrup. So equal parts water to sugar, and I use coconut sugar as well. And then you let it thicken to the desired consistency. So with this syrup, I could have kept that going if I kept it on the hob, kept it going, and it would have got thicker and thicker and thicker. And then I could have used it as a syrup for a dessert or something like that. But because I wanted to use this in cocktails, I wanted it to be not too thick. So you see, it's not too thick, but it just gives that really, really lovely Earl Grey taste. So if you could put the link for the bottles, that would be great. I will. That's really, really lovely. Oh, wow. The star anise has come out really well in that. I absolutely love star anise. But I always find, I never necessarily want to put it in cooking because I can't be bothered to like bash it and stuff like that. But so this is a really, really great way to have it. And literally, it's just been muddling in there, getting all the flavours mixed over the last 2 days. So in here was about that much pineapple juice and that much water, and that was it. And then whatever flavouring you want to put into it. This one is star anise. This one I put a cinnamon stick in the bottom of it. Both flavours that work really, really well with pineapple. And that's a really, really nice light drink there. You can add alcohol if you want to. If you want to, then you can. Okay, so that is a kombucha cocktail. And then here I have something that I wanted to show you. So this is a ginger drink that I made for Jeff. So Jeff is a really, really big fan of these. If you guys have ever come across these are really, really nice. Gingerella, really, really, really lovely. It's a ginger drink here in the UK. Does have sugar in it. It has a lot of ginger in it. It's one of those ginger drinks that actually knows about it. I hate ginger drinks that it's just a bit disappointing. So I decided that I would try to replicate this with the kefir. So we have the kefir in here, and I basically used the kefir as the base and then mixed in some fruit syrup, like an agave syrup, with some water. Mixed that into it with some of this. So this is one of my things to have in the cupboard. Of course, you can just grate some ginger and then squeeze it and get the juice out of it that way. But I find that actually having this in the cupboard, I add it to water and I drink water a lot more than I normally would do. I'm really, really bad at not drinking enough water. But if I add a bit of ginger juice to it, then I'll have it. And I really, really like it. It's very, very refreshing. So I added some of this to here and I just kept on going until it was as gingery as I knew he would like it to be. And this means that by making it this way, you can dictate how sweet and how gingery you want it. And so this is the cocktail that I made with the kefir. Really lovely. And also, the kefir has this really beautiful light colour to it as well. So it worked really, really well with this, and it's just got a nice blush to it. Hope said, would you include a few flavour combinations in the instructions when you post them, please? Yes, of course. Now, one other thing to mention is, of course, I've already told you about using frozen raspberries, and literally you can just soak your kombucha or your kefir into it with these just for even just a couple of hours. You can just pop them into a bottle. Like I collect bottles like this whenever I see them in charity shops. I would grab them and I just leave the kombucha or the kefir in one of these bottles with the berries. We've also got blueberries here, which work really, really well, and just pop that in the fridge. And then when you do want to drink from it, you just have a little strainer so that you don't get any of the berries in there. But you might like to put the berries in there. Okay, so that is our cocktails, and now I'm just going to show you what is the ginger. You can't see the label. Sorry, I'm getting so excited that I'm talking a bit fast. There we go. It's Biona, which is a really, really great brand here. There we go, guys. Yeah, really like those. I'm not a big fan usually of using jarred lemon, bottled lemon juice, but actually the Bayona version is really good, and it tastes, you know, like it's fresh. It's not from concentrate as well. It's a brand that I really like. Paul said, Earl Grey syrup sounds nice from Wikipedia. The Earl Grey blend is assumed to be named after Charles Grey. There we go. Yeah, but you can do that with other flavours of tea as well. So if you guys like Lapsang Souchong, which is one of the funnest things to say, then you can use something like that, have that like smoky flavour going on, which would be lovely, really lovely. Now let me show you just a couple of other ingredients that I'm going to be using in cocktails that we'll be making. This. So I was using a tin of coconut cream the other day, and I scooped the top off, which of course we do quite often in vegan recipes. But then you're left with the water at the bottom, and I didn't want to waste it, so I'm actually going to use that. It's a really nice light coconut water, which will go really well with pineapple. So we'll be making one of those later on today. This is some vanilla paste. I used that with, now we made a really lovely kombucha cocktail the other day with blueberries and vanilla. Very nice. That's a really great combination. I will put all of this in the comments. So let me just get my ice lollies. Ben said just opened a bottle of mixed berry kombucha, use frozen mixed berries. It's delicious. It is, and so easy. Okay guys, so here are my ice lollies. This is a mould that I actually bought from TK Maxx. It cost me £1.20. I know, how ridiculous is that? It's such a brilliant thing as well. I absolutely love like just picking up like random stuff in that shop. It's great for things like this show. Yeah, so you know, find any type of ice lolly molds that you can. These are great for kids, really great for kids. I have actually made some before, and there are pictures on our website as well of ice lollies that I've made with berries inside, which also look really beautiful. So this is a great way to get kids to have kombucha in kefir, because they wouldn't know that it was something healthy. Like, it doesn't look like that at all. Gloria said this is a whole new education. It is. It's a whole new fermenting world. So in here, I put the pineapple one, of course, because it's in the shape of a pineapple, and this one is actually the berry one, because I didn't have watermelon, and we can just pop these out. And these have come out really nice and shiny today. Really nice and shiny. So, you know, you guys can even, you know, if you want to add alcohol to it, then you absolutely can. Really beautiful shape on that one. Oh my god, that's so nice. That is so nice. Really delicious. So, you know, all you guys need to do with this is play around with those flavours and get it to the sweetness that you desire, adding things like the berries, you know, making up your own syrups if you want, adding bits and pieces like this. Really, again, it's another great way to add spices to your diet. So we've got the star anise in here. A really great way to add spices, which are so healthy for us, into our diet, and then you can just pop them into your ice lolly maker, and that's it. How easy is that? Okay guys, any questions? I know we've been in class for a long time today, this is melting already. Any questions? We will put the details we will put the details of this recipe into the community hub, just like we do every day. But I know it's really difficult for you guys to find our recipes in there, right? It doesn't make it easy, and that is why I spent the last 3 days putting all of the live recipes that we've done over the last month onto our website. So if you go to our website, which is theveganchefschool.com, How easy is that to remember? You will see all of our most recent live recipes and loads of other recipes as well. So please do check that out. We've got huge amounts of information there that I know that you guys will be able to use, and we'll just keep updating that every day so that you guys have somewhere that you can browse and you can find those recipes. So, you know, if you've seen one, you know, if you just popped on but you weren't able to watch us, which I know happens quite a lot, be like, okay, I'm going to go back to that one at another stage. Don't worry about not being able to find it on our Facebook page or our Facebook group. It will be on the website, including with the live recipe video as well as the written recipe. So, okay. Oh, how old is your oldest Scooby? Oh my god, to be honest, I don't know. I'll have to work that out and get back to you. Anton, I like how you put the lolly down and picked it straight back up again to say it was so yummy. Yeah, I'm heading straight out into the garden with this in a moment. Definitely. All Facebook Live recipes on your website. Yes, exactly. It does mean that essentially they're on YouTube now as well. Yes, they're on our website as well. So basically what that means is that you can see the live recipe alongside the written recipe, which I think you guys will find really, really useful. But please do let me know if there's any other ways that we can make this work better for you guys, because it is all about helping you guys to cook more. Okay, thank you for sharing your time with me. I hope that you're enjoying making these recipes and it's inspiring you to create something and to do something a bit different as well. So let me know how you get on with your ferments and have a lovely day.